A new book is helping the faithful to navigate the challenges brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic and inspiring hope in the process. Written by EWTN's own Teresa Tomeo, Conquering Coronavirus: How Faith Can Put Your Fears to Rest, offers advice on a number of topics related to the pandemic. And Teresa Tomeo joins me now on Skype to talk more about her new book. Teresa, welcome back to the show. Great to see you.
Great to see you too, and happy Easter, and thank you for this opportunity, Tracy. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. We're so glad you're here. So the title of your new book is inspirational, of course, in and of itself. How can we use our faith, Teresa, to help strengthen us during this time?
Well, I really think it's an opportune time, and I love the verse, and I talk about this in the book, Tracy, Romans 8:28, all things work together for good for those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. I like to look at the glass always as half full versus half empty, and what really has been coming to me in prayer, especially after losing a loved one during this pandemic, not from COVID-19, but during this whole situation, is that God allows these things to happen and puts us in situations that we can use to help other people. And so my whole idea of doing this book was to inspire people to learn from this experience. Whatever we're going through, we're all going through particular trials, whether it be maybe our health, maybe finances. But what is God trying to do right now in our homes, in our lives, in the domestic church, and in the world? And how can we make a difference? And, being a newscaster as you are and being a talk show host as I am, we have a very unique view on the world, and we get to interview a lot of really wonderful people who are doing wonderful things for God and his church. And I want us to remember this. And so I decided to put not only resources and prayers and reflection questions, but I wanted to put a lot of the great stories that we've been sharing on EWTN, on my radio show, on television, on the National Catholic Register website, all the great resources we have. And many of them I've come across. So I tried to compile some really inspirational stories to remember what we're going through, and not forget and learn and grow from it. But it can be used as a family study, because there's questions at the end of each chapter. There's prayers for all different types of groups of people that may be struggling. So it's basically, I think, a one-stop shopping book of what we're all experiencing right now.
Well, Teresa, you just mentioned some of the stories. You have a story. You talked briefly about your mom, losing your mom to congestive heart failure during the pandemic. I can't imagine that must have been so hard for you. And if you don't mind, can you talk about that experience for you?
Yeah, it was a very difficult time, especially because she was lived for 2 years in a beautiful assisted living facility that was just always filled with activities and things going on, and Bible studies and prayer groups and wonderful parties. And then when the COVID-19 hit, of course, they were among the first, as it should be because of the contagion factor, they shut down. And so it went from being this place of lively activity and full of life to basically being very, very quiet and almost austere in some ways. And I was with her right when she was dying, and it was actually on St. Patrick's Day, where I had a very unique experience where some neighbors in the community came by and were doing window visits. And that really lifted my spirits. And I began to notice all around us that these different types of things were happening with people who were shut-ins, or the elderly, or families who couldn't come outside, or people were visiting in unique ways. It was a very profound experience also, Tracy, not to be able to have the funeral liturgy for her, which is very powerful, as we know. I have a wonderful pastor who was with us when my father died 10 years ago. We had a beautiful Catholic funeral mass. And we couldn't do that for my mom this time. We had the graveside committal, the Christian committal. We had a very, very small private viewing at the funeral home. And so there was a lot that I had to surrender. And so I feel that God allowed me to go through that experience to share and maybe feel empathy for people who are having similar experiences. And also for even, I think, creating in my heart a deeper and a stronger love for our faith and the beauty of what we do in the Catholic Church, especially the dignity of the human person, from conception until natural death, and how the whole idea of someone passing on to the next life to be with the Lord, that liturgy that send off that we give them, is so powerful. And I learned a lot through that experience, and I wanted to share it and be very transparent with people.
Oh, it is wonderful, Teresa. I can't wait to read it. Speaking of your book, what do you hope readers take away from it? And also, when can we get the book?
The book's available right now thanks to the amazing team at Sophia Institute Press, who turned it around very quickly. You have a wonderful team, as you well know, at Sophia. It is available on their website. They have a special link, sophiainstitute.com/Teresa. You can also get it through my website and, of course, the EWTN Religious Catalog. My website is just teresatomeo.com, and it's in the book section. But really what I hope people walk away with is that we can't forget what we're going through right now, what we've learned, how we're growing, and that God, regardless of how difficult the situations are, whether it's a pandemic pandemic, God forbid, I hope there's not another one in our lifetime, whether it's a personal crisis, that God is there with us through it all. And so I hope at the end of the day, we don't forget what happened and we learn from it and we help others learn too.
Well, Teresa, thank you so much. So great talking with you. Teresa Tomeo, author of Conquering Coronavirus and host of EWTN's Catholic View for Women, as well as the daily morning radio program, Catholic Connection. Thanks again, and congratulations on your new book.
Thank you, and God bless your work. Keep it up.